Good afternoon, Central Ohio, and thanks for joining us here for another edition of our 10 Weather Impact Show. I'm meteorologist Aaron White, and as we've been talking about, we have a big winter storm on our hands here as we head into the weekend. A lot to dive into here in the 10 Weather Impact forecast, and it's not even just the winter storm with the snow. It's also some very cold conditions that we're already feeling here today. Our temperatures are falling through the rest of this afternoon, and we are heading down to temperatures near zero later on tonight, and that's the actual temperature. You factor in a little bit of wind, and we could have wind chill factors down to anywhere from 5 to 15 below this evening through tonight into tomorrow morning. And then we got snow on the way here as we head towards tomorrow evening through Sunday, and some of the heaviest of the snow will be falling throughout the day on Sunday. So again, a lot to dive into, a lot to unpack here in the 10 Weather Impact forecast. So let's go ahead and dive into it right now, as we do have a 10 weather impact alert here for this evening into tonight and tomorrow morning. That's for the bitter cold. Then starting tomorrow evening, tomorrow night through Sunday, even Sunday night into Monday morning, we have a 10 weather impact alert for the snow, the winter storm that we have on the way here for the weekend. And as we are talking about that, we do now have a winter storm warning that has been issued across the entire 10 TV news area, as we have that for central and southern Ohio, really covering a large part of the state of Ohio, including areas from Cleveland through Columbus down to Cincinnati, as we are expecting heavy snow across much of the region here going through Saturday night and especially throughout the day on Sunday. That's when some of the heaviest snow will be falling, really from about midnight Saturday night through 7 p.m. on Sunday. We are talking about some moderate to heavy snowfall making its way through the area. So this is what we got going on. This is a look at our weekend winter storm, and I want to show this map again. We've been showing this here for the last couple of days because it really just paints the picture of how large of a storm system this really is, because it's not one of those smaller winter storms that only impacts a couple of states. This is going to impact a large part of the country, including us here in Ohio with heavy snow, but also Kentucky, heavy snow, and even ice mixing in with some of that snow across southern Kentucky especially, but back to the west, parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, all the way up into New England, New York City under winter storm warnings. So again, this is going to be a big travel impact for anyone that's driving or has to travel, but especially airports likely going to be feeling some of these impacts, especially as we go through Sunday and even likely into early next week, as a lot of places are still going to be cleaning up from this winter storm, and it's still going to be impacting the East Coast as we head into Monday morning as we start off the work week. So air travel likely going to have some impacts at some of the major hubs, including New York, LaGuardia, JFK, Newark, even down towards Atlanta could have some impacts, Dallas as well. So a lot to really watch here as we go through the next several days. For right now, things are relatively quiet. It's getting colder out there. Temperatures have been falling through this afternoon. We started off around the lower to middle 20s last night into this morning. Now we are falling back down into the teens. So colder air building in. Now that's just one factor to what's going to happen over the weekend. Of course, we need some cold air in place to allow for the snow to happen, but what's also going to be building in is our storm system, and that is an area of low pressure still slowly making its way through the southwestern part of the U.S. It was off the coast of California and now starting to kick out more moisture even into Texas. So this is really starting to take shape now as we see all that moisture feeding into Texas, New Mexico, even some snow already kicking into parts of Kansas. So the winter storm is starting to gather more energy, starting to intensify. And what's going to be happening is as it moves further to the east, it's also going to really pull in some moisture from the Gulf. And all this is coming together, our storm system, the moisture, the cold air, all of it's coming together to allow for a lot of snowfall across many states, including us here in Ohio. And even further to the south, that significant icing likely going to be happening for parts of Tennessee, southern Kentucky, down into parts of North Georgia. Atlanta could be feeling some of the impacts of that ice, even into parts of the Carolinas here as we go through the weekend. So really, that's going to be affecting many states. And this is a look at the map really showing how large this storm system truly is, because where we have the pink, that is a winter storm warning. So notice that stretches from New Mexico, Texas, all the way through Arkansas, up into Ohio, even into parts of Massachusetts. So this is covering a large extent of the country with winter storm impacts from snow and ice. Now, where you see the darker purple here, that's actually an ice storm warning. So East Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, southern Tennessee over towards Atlanta, going to be likely getting some heavier freezing rain. That's going to lead to significant ice accumulation, potential for power outages down there. And like I said, that's going to be feeling those big impacts for many of the bigger cities. So Atlanta, major hub for Delta, Dallas, major hub for American Airlines, and even some of the other airports, Memphis, a big airport for FedEx, and that's going to lead to some, of course, travel disruptions for commercial, but also, deliveries and everything like that. So again, this is going to cause a lot of disruptions here as we go through the next several days. And of course, us locally here in Ohio, we are going to feel the impacts as winter storm warnings cover almost the entire state now. We have winter storm watches still up around Toledo and then into back towards Fort Wayne. So that's going to be really dependent, where we may see winter weather advisories or potential for those warnings to be issued. But it really kind of comes down to how far north some of that heavier snow really does fall here into northwestern Ohio. But what is certain now, because we have the warnings in place, is that we are still expecting some very heavy snowfall across central and southern Ohio starting tomorrow evening. Around this time, so about 24 hours from now, we may start to see some light snow showers building in, but really it's going to be after about 5 or maybe 6 p.m. that we start to see some more light to moderate snowfall moving through central Ohio. But really what it comes down to, the more significant accumulation that's going to lead to the totals that we are expecting, that's going to occur after midnight Saturday night. So there will be some minor impacts initially here tomorrow, but the major impacts are going to be felt during the day on Sunday. So by the time you wake up Sunday morning, there will be some snow on the ground, but you're not going to measure all the snow that we are forecasting, 6 to 12 inches, until Sunday night, Monday morning, even at that. So you're not going to wake up to a big winter storm. You are going to wake up Sunday morning to a lot of snowfall. Again, not tomorrow morning. It's going to be Sunday morning. So tomorrow morning, things are still quiet. If you have errands to run today, still okay. Just keep in mind it's going to be very cold. Same thing for tomorrow morning. Things are going to be quiet. Just very cold conditions. And then as we head into the afternoon tomorrow, about 24 hours from now, we're going to start to see that snow starting to make its way in and really kick in tomorrow night into the day on Sunday. So again, winter storm warnings are in effect for the upcoming weekend with the storm system building in. So let's go ahead and move things along here into the hour-by-hour forecast. Starting this at noon. Noon tomorrow, not much happening. Maybe a couple flurries. That's about it. We got cloudy skies. As we go through the afternoon, watch what happens here. Getting closer to about 4 to 5 p.m., we have some snow making its way through southern and central Ohio. Light to, at times, moderate snowfall making its way through, especially if you notice some of the darker blues showing up, indicating that potential for some more moderate snowfall. As we continue on, there could be a couple breaks, but what's going to happen is we have a couple of different sources of energy to allow for the snow to really happen. And that first round coming in with a first wave, but the second wave of energy that's going to really kick things along and really amp up the snowfall, that happens after midnight. So here we are, 10 p.m. on Saturday, starting to see some of that building in, but watch what happens as we advance through time. So we're going to go from 12 a.m., so from midnight tomorrow night, Saturday night, through 7 a.m. on Sunday. All that heavy snow really gets in here as we head into our Sunday morning. And I mean, we're talking about some very dark blue that indicates that heavier snowfall as we are tracking potential for snowfall rates to be over or around an inch per hour. So it's not going to take long for that snow to really start to accumulate, really start to pile up here as we go through Sunday morning. And notice, I mean, this is very dark blue. This is heavy snow, continues all the way through Sunday afternoon. And then by 7 p.m., we are starting to see some drier air work its way in. So this is sort of the back edge to the snow. There could still be some as we head into Sunday night, but the bulk of the accumulation that we are expecting is going to really fall from midnight Saturday night to about 7 p.m. on Sunday. So that window there, a bit more than 12 hours, about almost closer to 24 hours, that we are going to see the heaviest of the snowfall. Now, that's not to say we're not going to see snow outside of that window. There will be snow falling again Saturday evening through 6 p.m. to midnight roughly. There also will be some snow falling from 7 p.m. Sunday to around midnight Sunday night. But when we talk about the overall accumulation, a lot of it's going to happen through the day on Sunday. So once all is said and done, how much snow are we talking? And this is our forecast when we haven't really made many changes to it over the last couple of days. We've been really signaling that it's going to be a lot of snowfall, of course. And what we have changed from just about a couple of days ago is we've brought the numbers up further to the north. And what we've done in the last 12 hours is we've brought the purple up a little bit further north as well to signify that we're likely going to see some more of that heavier snow really encompassing central and southern Ohio. So Columbus Metro, 8 to 12 inches of snowfall. Areas around Delaware, 8 to 12 inches. Same for Lancaster, down towards Waverly, Piketon, Chillicothe as well. A lot of snowfall coming our way. One thing I want you to take away from this map is that there will be some locations in the purple that get more than 12 inches of snowfall. There also will be some places in the purple that perhaps get under 8, maybe 7 inches of snowfall. I don't think it's going to be much less than that. We're not talking about, some of these places getting 2 or 3 or 4 inches. A lot of everywhere across central Ohio should at least pick up a half a foot of snowfall. But that's one of the reasons why we do these ranges, because we can't really lock in how much one location is going to get, because, it could be an example where Logan gets 11 inches of snowfall, and then you go 5 miles to the west, somebody only measures 8. So it can vary in a short amount of distance, and that's why having these ranges really helps to give you an idea of just how much could fall across the area. So we are locking in 6 to 12 inches of snowfall all across central and southern Ohio, with the heaviest the further south you go. And there are some indications that far southern Ohio could see some of the heaviest of the snowfall. But what's going to be a concern right now is as we get some warmer air feeding into the storm, especially across far southern Ohio, maybe Athens to Waverly, Piketon, and southward, it could get warm enough that we could see some sleet and freezing rain mixing in with the snow, and that would bring down the totals ever so slightly. But it's going to be really depend on that window of how long do we see that changeover to a mixture. Is it 30 minutes or is it 3 hours? That's going to have an impact on how much snow really accumulates then. But it is a factor we're watching. But in any case, whether that happens or not, we are still talking about a high likelihood of at least 8 to 12 inches of snowfall, even for those locations. But if it does appear to be all snow and no freezing rain or ice, then maybe we are on the higher end of that number. So it's a lot to watch here over the next 24 to 36 hours. We're still getting more weather data coming in. We're going to still analyze the forecast and continue to update this. If we have to change anything, of course, we will do so. We'll let you know why we are updating the forecast, why the change is happening. But so far, we have been pretty much locked in with this snowfall forecast for really the last couple of days, with just some minor tweaks here and there. But the overall expectation of 6 to 12 inches of snowfall, that hasn't changed for the last 2 days. And based on the latest computer projections that are coming in, there isn't a lot to really change with this current forecast. And that's why we are, for the most part, keeping it as is. The only change, we've brought the purple up just a little bit further to the north indicating that we could see some higher numbers, maybe north of Interstate 70 as we go into our Sunday night. So again, this is beginning Saturday afternoon through Sunday night, lingering into Monday morning. There could still be maybe a half an inch to an inch of snowfall after midnight Sunday night, but the chances of that right now look to be pretty minimal here, as most of the snow will fall from about 6 p.m. Saturday evening to roughly 7 p.m. on Sunday evening. All right, so this is what we have going on. 10 weather impact alert as we go through the next several days. First and foremost, for the winter storm that we have starting tomorrow evening through the day Sunday into Sunday night. Then Monday is going to be a day for cleaning up, shoveling, snow blowing, plowing, whatever has to happen to clean up a lot of that heavier snowfall that we will be seeing. Just know Monday morning and really through the day Monday, it's going to be very cold. We are dropping down to 7 degrees for Monday morning, and that's just the actual air temperature. You factor in even a 5 to 10 mile per hour wind, that's going to knock that wind chill factor below 0 here for Monday morning, and likely could still see that even into our Monday afternoon. And then we go into Tuesday, and we're talking about actual temperatures below 0 here for Tuesday morning. So very cold conditions, wind chill factors down to 5 to 15 below 0 here as we head into our Tuesday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, things do get a little better, but not by much. And it's still going to be very cold here as we go through the rest of the 7-day forecast, looking ahead to Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, as we're tracking highs only in the teens. So once we get the snow on the ground, it's going to really lock in the cold, and it's going to be a while before we actually see temperatures breaking the freezing mark. So the snow's not going to melt for quite some time. And when we have all the snow on the ground for a large area, from here back towards Kansas and even across the upper Midwest, well, it's going to help to really lock in and reinforce a lot of this cold air that we have really coming in here as we go through the next 7 days. So again, with the forecast, I want to reiterate this one more time, that we have that 10 weather impact alert here going through the weekend and going into next week, as we are talking about winter storm conditions and then bitter cold here as we go through the forecast. So we're going to dive into this one more time. We're going to go until about 2:30 here this afternoon, as we are talking about winter storm conditions coming in here for the weekend. Now, if you have any questions, if you're watching on Facebook Live, if you're watching here on 10 TV Plus, you can always send us a question here. Just text them to the number that you see there right now, 614-460-3345, and I will be looking at those questions for whatever you have, and hope to answer all of your questions as we are tracking really our first major winter storm. Of course, we had some snow back in December, but this is going to be a bit more significant even than both of those snowstorms that we had in early to mid-December. So again, a lot to unpack here for the weekend, so let's go ahead and dive into the forecast here one more time. Winter weather alerts. We have winter storm warnings. All that you see there in pink, that is a winter storm warning. That includes all of central and southern Ohio, includes the Columbus metro, as we are expecting significant snowfall for really the entire area. And I mentioned this before, that there is a chance that we could see a little bit of freezing rain or sleet trying to mix in with some of the snow, especially across southern Ohio. But even if that does happen, I don't really think it's going to have a huge impact on how much snow we end up seeing across the area as we go through Saturday evening into our Sunday night. So winter storm warnings are in effect. So this is another look at just the overall scale of this storm system, because it is going to impact a large part of the country with what we have going on. We have snow, we have heavy snow, we have ice, freezing rain, sleet. That's going to be from the Carolinas through northern Georgia. Atlanta could be dealing with some significant icing all the way back into parts of Arkansas, northern Mississippi, back into Texas, as they are expecting snow and ice. So this is going to lead to some significant travel impacts by anyone that has to drive, anyone that wants to fly, they're going to have some issues with likely some delays and cancellations at some of the major airports as we go really into Sunday and even into Monday, as a lot of those major airports, we were talking about Atlanta, one of the world's busiest airports, Delta Hub. That's going to have some impacts with significant ice accumulation back towards Dallas. I know you can't really see it on the map there, but they are expecting some ice accumulation, and even up into New England, parts of D.C., Philadelphia, New York, even Boston, getting some heavier snowfall. So even some of those airports are also going to be feeling the impacts here as we go through really Sunday into early Monday with a few of those areas. So that's what we have going on. Our storm system right now is situated in Southern California, Arizona, but it's going to arrive here as we head into tomorrow and really start to kick in the snow tomorrow night into the day Sunday. So as of right now, as we look at the map, not a lot happening on the satellite picture. We have a lot of cloud cover building in. There have been a few peaks of sunshine, not enough to really help anything along, but that's what we got going on here right now. Let's zoom things out, all right? So this just shows a scale of how far away this storm system really is. And I mean, our low pressure system, again, is near Southern California right now, but out ahead of it, it's kicking in the moisture. You can see all that green there on the map. From Dallas through El Paso, rain starting to change over to snow. And what's happening here is we have everything really come together for this big winter storm. We have our low pressure system. We have our storm system out across the western coast. What's going to happen as it moves to the east? Well, we have that cold air in place. We have the moisture as it moves east. It's going to pull moisture in from the Gulf of Mexico, and all that's going to come together to lead to heavy snowfall, heavy ice, and heavy rainfall even further south where temperatures are going to be warmer. Some heavy rain, of course, not out of the question for the Gulf Coast states, but where the colder air is, ice first, and then the further north you go, heavy snow, like around here. And that's why when you look at the map here, we have winter weather alerts for a large part of the country. We're going from New Mexico. Focus on the pink right now. If we could take this full to really show the color here, show the pink that you see from New Mexico all the way to New York City, to Boston. We have winter storm warnings that are in effect for several states, and even entire states are under winter weather alerts. Look at all of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania are all under either winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, ice storm warnings. So this is affecting several states that already have state of emergencies that have been declared for some of the southern states, as those really don't deal with winter weather all too often, especially to the scale that this storm system is really going to be. So again, that's just to, again, show you the scale of the storm. Zoom things in closer here. Here's a look at Ohio. We have winter storm warnings for almost the entire state. It goes from Cleveland, Youngstown, Akron, Canton, down to Cambridge, Columbus, of course, under winter storm warnings, down to Cincinnati, down towards Athens, Piketon, Waverly, all the way to the north and west. We have winter storm warnings affecting really a large part of the country. So again, I'm going to go ahead and look at some of the questions that we have right now. Asking about what time the storm is going to start for Madison County. That's from Joseph. So for Madison County, I'm going to go ahead and let's advance. Here we go to the hour-by-hour forecast. So if we can take this full to look at here in a little bit more detail, the snow is going to really start during the evening hours on Saturday. So as we advance this forward, here we are about 5 p.m., maybe some light snow around Madison County and really across central Ohio. It's going to be later on, so we'll get this first round of some moderate snowfall during the evening. So here we are at 7 p.m., likely some snow. We could see maybe an inch, maybe 2 inches between 6 p.m. and midnight tomorrow evening. After midnight, that's when the snow really cranks up, really gets into gear. So here we are at 3 a.m. We have snow all across central and southern Ohio. Watch what happens when we get to 7 a.m. Look at all that dark blue. That's some heavy snow. And we were talking about snowfall rates an inch per hour, not out of the question here. And that continues, and it actually gets even darker. This is some very heavy snowfall that it's going to really reduce visibility. Travel is going to become treacherous here Sunday morning. All right. As that snow is coming down, it's going to reduce visibility. It's going to be hard to see, maybe more than a half a mile in front of you. Think about it as just very heavy snow. You get a little bit of wind in there. That's going to help to reduce visibility as well. Now, we are not talking about a blizzard. This is not a blizzard in any way, shape, or form. It is some heavy snow, but to have a true blizzard, you need a lot of wind, and you need winds really sustained about 35 miles per hour. We are not going to see winds nearly that strong. We could get a couple gusts up to 15 to 20 miles per hour, but again, this is not going to be a true blizzard. It's going to be a major winter storm and some very heavy snowfall, and may seem similar, but to the scale of past blizzards when we've had snow and wind, there are still going to be some significant impacts here with this winter storm. And as we continue on, that heavy snow continues for several hours through Sunday afternoon and into the evening. And then once we get towards about 7 p.m., that's roughly going to be the time where things do start to taper off. So there's still going to be some snow falling. And even as we get closer to midnight here, tomorrow, or Sunday night, I should say, there's going to be some snow still falling, but it's going to really start to taper off as we head into the overnight hours. But what it is going to do is it's going to help to lock in the cold that we have in the extended forecast that we'll see here in just a moment. Now, we are coming up on 2:27 here this afternoon, so we're going to talk here for just a couple more minutes, and we will have more live updates coming up later on this afternoon and throughout the evening. And really, we have extended coverage throughout the weekend as we are tracking this winter storm. We're going to have live updates almost all day Saturday and especially all day Sunday on 10 TV and on 10 TV Plus as we are tracking this major winter storm to bring significant snowfall. But here's the snowfall forecast, as we are expecting 6 to 12 inches of snow accumulation across the entire area. You can see from Bucyrus, Mansfield area back towards Marion and Kenton, we're talking about 6 to 10 inches of snowfall. That's still fairly significant. Heavier snowfall further south with 8 to 12 inches for most of central Ohio and all of southern Ohio, going to see the more significant snowfall. And one thing I will mention is there will be some places that get higher amounts. Not everyone's going to see more than a foot of snowfall, but by Sunday night, Monday morning, once all is said and done, there will be some amounts that we get over a foot of snow in parts of Ohio. So I just want to emphasize that there is going to be some very significant snowfall. But even if you get a foot or 8 inches of snowfall, that's still going to have some high impacts here across the entire, really almost the entire state of Ohio. And that's going to lead to major disruptions in travel and even other impacts across the entire state and other nearby states with heavy, heavy snowfall and, of course, the ice accumulation that is expected further to the south. So here's another look at the 7-day forecast as we have that 10 weather impact alert here as we go through the weekend for the winter storm. And then very cold conditions going into Monday and Tuesday, with especially Tuesday morning down to 2 below zero. And it's possible, and we likely will, have to extend these 10 weather impacts even going towards the middle to end of next week as we get another reinforcing shot of cold air. We're going to be watching to see if we have to drop these numbers even more going towards Thursday and Friday of next week. But for right now, again, the focus is on the winter storm. We are going to have more live updates as we go through the rest of today, and especially here as we go into the weekend here on 10 TV and on 10 TV Plus, so make sure to tune in for that. Otherwise, you can always get more news and weather online, as always, at 10tv.com.